Info Plus for genuine information.
Namaste and welcome to Info Plus. I'm Rebecca Shetri. Today at Creators Mela 2026, we are joined by Mr. Mike HARKER, Public Affairs Chief at the US Embassy, Nepal, to talk about creative exchange, Nepal to US relations, and how creators are shaping meaningful stories across Nepal. Namaste.
Namaste. Great to see you.
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you. Joining us today is Mr. Mike HARKER, Chief of Public Affairs at the US Embassy in Nepal. With years of experience in public diplomacy and international engagement, he has played a key role in strengthening people-to-people ties, supporting creative communities, and promoting cultural exchange.
Info Plus for genuine information.
Mr. HARKER, namaste and welcome to Info Plus on Himalayan Television.
Namaste, Rebecca. Great to be here on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
Could you please share a bit about your journey? What led you to work here in Nepal from the perspectives that US and Nepal share a long history together?
You know, I can't believe it, but I've been here in Nepal for almost a year and a half now as the Public Affairs Chief to US Embassy Nepal. I arrived in September 2024, and it's just been such an incredible experience working at the embassy and getting to meet so many talented young entrepreneurs, business leaders across the country. And it's really excited about all the work that we've done in the past year and a half, and even more so about the work that we have ahead of us, especially as we move into the Creators Mela here in Kathmandu. I have to admit, though, this is not my first time in Nepal. I actually came here about 20 years ago.
That's great to know. You were here 20 years back ago. What changes did you find?
So 20 years ago, I was just a kind of a young, lost backpacker. I came here on a trekking trip. I came to Kathmandu, rode a bus to Pokhara, wandered the streets of Pokhara looking for a trekking company. And, you know, I found a guide named Bola, and we trekked for about 10 to 14 days across the Annapurna circuit and up to base camp. And that was just such a beautiful and, you know, profound experience for me at that young age in my early 20s back then. Just, you know, hiking along these trails, stopping at tea houses along the way, eating the most delicious dal bats, sitting around the stove at night, and then later singing Resham Fidiri under the stars. It just had such a formative experience for me at that point in my life. But, you know, little did I know that I'd come back here as a diplomat almost 20 years later. But before I came back in 2024, I went on another trip to Kathmandu in 2016, where I studied at Kapan Monastery, just on the edges of Kathmandu Valley, for about 6 weeks, studying meditation there. And it just had such a profound effect upon how I view the world, how I view myself, and all of us together as we navigate all the challenges and all the opportunities in this world. So, all that is to say, I've had just so many profoundly important and life-changing experiences here in Nepal, and I'm just so grateful to be here now representing my country, the United States, in an official capacity as a diplomat.
What differences did you find from the past?
So comparing, you know, Nepal, the first impression of Nepal back in 2006 when I first came to today is just really just how there's been an acceleration of opportunity here in Nepal, and the role the United States can play in helping create these opportunities. Because at the embassy, we're absolutely focused on creating economic opportunities that both benefit the United States and Nepal and everyday Nepalis. And so we're definitely heavily focused on commercial diplomacy opportunities. Like, how do we create linkages, right, between American businesses and Nepali businesses to improve both of our economies, and in that effort, create opportunities right here in Nepal for everyday, ordinary Nepalis. And so what I see in those past 20 years has just been an acceleration and growth and opportunity. And really, I think, my work at the embassy and all of our work at the American embassy is just to find more of those opportunities and multiply those here.
As you mentioned that you see the positive sides of Nepal growing day by day. But still, we don't see lots of international investors here in Nepal. What do you think we can do to welcome international investors here in Nepal?
Really one of our priorities at the embassy is supporting a business environment that creates opportunities for Americans and for Nepalis, and creating a resilient economy here that welcomes trade and investment between America and Nepal. And how do we do that? One of the ways we do that, really, Rebecca, is to create stable, predictable business environment. And that includes through the ethical and correct use of technology and American technology. And through these efforts, that will make Nepal and the region safer, stronger, and more prosperous.
As the public affairs of U.S. Embassy in Nepal, how would you describe the core focus of a role, particularly in connecting with Nepali communities?
So really, it's about creating people-to-people friendships between America and the United States. And there's so many modalities and ways to build upon that. One of the core components of what we do at the embassy is through grant programs, educational programs, youth exchange programs. And so you might have heard, for example, like the Fulbright program or the International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP. Through these types of programs, Nepalis, for example, go to the United States, participate in programs, say in business development and agriculture and health sector related programs for about 6 weeks through IVLP, for example. They get to meet other people from the region internationally, and they get to meet experts in those fields in the United States. So it's really just about learning best practices in the United States and also just creating a really good network as well. And so when they come back to Nepal, they leverage that network to help improve their communities right here, back home in Kathmandu or wherever they may be based at. And there's our alumni network is quite impressive. There's over 4,500 alumni from our U.S. government exchange programs from Nepal. So just such an incredibly robust network of people, and it's these exchanges don't end when they come back to Nepal. There's so many opportunities to receive funding for grant projects and follow-on exchange programs as well. So these exchange programs are such a flagship component of building these people-to-people ties that I just mentioned.
Your work seems to be very interesting.
I can add one more thing also.
Okay.
Of course, so in addition to this alumni network, we have the USYC, the U.S. Youth Council. There have been over 650 members of the USYC for about 10 years. Each year there's a cohort of about 50 or 55 young leaders who work together, and they do community development projects around Kathmandu and outside of the Kathmandu Valley. And again, these are just such great opportunities to, learn leadership skills, business development skills, community development skills, all in the effort to help their fellow Nepali brothers and sisters.
Why U.S. Embassy is interested to start these kinds of projects in all the parts of Nepal? Because this looks very interesting for many youths. It's creating so much of opportunities, I believe. The
main driver for all of these exchange programs and commercial diplomacy projects really is to create linkages between the United States and Nepal, and increasingly so in the economic sector. So the philosophy is that by having these economic partnerships, it's helping improve the American economy, the Nepali economy, and in turn the bilateral relationship. And of course, by creating opportunities here in Nepal, we're helping encourage Nepalis to stay in Nepal and help develop their communities as well.
What parts of your work involves you more in the Nepali communities?
One of the most impactful and memorable parts of my job is just with the cultural heritage component. So, of course, we have the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation, or AFCP. There are 28 projects across Nepal where the United States has helped revitalize ancient cultural sites. For example, we have Gadi Baitak in Kathmandu Durbar Square. We have the Krishna Temple in Patan. Logekar Monastery in Upper Mustang, and also one of the more newer projects is the Lumbini Museum, where we have a conservation laboratory where we're helping restore artifacts in the greater area outside of Lumbini. I have to add, one of the first trips that I took here was in October to Mustang and to Upper Mustang with Kishore Kayesta. You know Kishore?
Yes.
Yeah, so amazing photographer, first known for his fashion photography, but later more into his landscapes. And so in partnership with the U.S. Embassy, he did a Mustang panoramic exhibit retrospective at the Nepal Art Council, which basically documented the evolution and change of the Mustang landscapes over the years. And so Ambassador Thompson and I and my team had the opportunity to travel with Kishore and his team through Mustang as he captured these really dramatic landscapes. And if you made it to the Art Council, the panoramas were probably as wide as this backdrop here, and standing in front of it, you really feel like you could just walk into those moments. It was just such an immensely powerful experience to be with Kishore shooting this, and also just being at the Art Council to see these on display. And in some of these photos, they captured a lot of the monastery development and restoration projects that we did to help revitalize Tibetan communities up there as well. So just, if like being up in Mustang, have you been to Mustang before?
No, not yet.
Oh my gosh, you have to go.
I'd love to be there one day.
It feels like you're in a movie over there. You have to go to your breath is taken away because of the altitude, but it's just such an amazing, beautiful landscape out there. That's just such a privilege of my job to be able to be involved in these cultural preservation projects and go up there and meet people who are living in these communities and helping revitalize these communities to protect, their faith, and also revitalize the tourism industry that is associated with these beautiful sites.
As you mentioned that you have been to different parts of Nepal. Nepal is a beautiful country, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Mr.
It's
Harker?
amazing.
Yes, and it is very rich in natural resources. How do you think Nepal can attract tourism and make the relationship of two countries more better in coming years?
Well, tourism of course is such a major driver for the economy, and that's what brought me here the first time in 2006, right? Just the call of the mountains to go trek and explore its peaks. And so I think with tourism, there's such a tremendous opportunity to bring in even a greater variety of clients and trekkers into Nepal. And by creating a sustainable tourism environment, I think that's so critical because by one, keeping the environment pristine and protecting the resources there, that'll help keep bringing in tourism, of course, right? But also, I think in terms of just management, for park management, for example, some of the best practices could be learned from major national parks in the United States, like Yellowstone or Yosemite, for example. I grew up in California, so I had the opportunity to travel to many famous national parks, and they're just so well maintained and organized. And I think a lot of these practices they are being shared, but even more can be shared between the United States and Nepal. And so in that effort, we're actually, the embassy is hosting the Ascent Summit in May, which is an adventure tourism conference and also expo, which will feature a lot of major American brands in the adventure sports and outdoor trekking space. So look for more information on that in the coming months. But that is really getting to how do we help promote and develop tourism here in Nepal. Really came from a recent trek that I did during Tihar, where I summited Labuche East. So that's 6,119 meters in the Everest region. I had the opportunity to trek with a world record-breaking climber, Lakpa Sherpa, along with an amazing team from Summit Treks, and just to be able to summit Labuche in 8 days, and then descend and be back in Kathmandu on the same day that I summited was just so insane to me, right? Because you're nearly on the top of the world, have this amazing panorama around you. You can see Everest just like right over there. As the sun is rising, you're out of breath, your hands are freezing, your feet are freezing, but it's just such an incredible, surreal experience to be up there and then run down the mountain and get on a helicopter and be back in Kathmandu by lunchtime. It's just it was such an amazing experience, but it made so clear to me why we need to preserve these areas, but also just how can we make this experience even more enriching for the tourists there and also the communities that support the trekking industry up there. So that's a real that trip was so valuable to me, trekking up to Labuche.
That sounds amazing indeed. Would you wish to go to Mount Everest one day, because Nepal is on the top of the world? So
I heard.
Since you are here for more few years, I believe you wish to one day.
I hope to. We'll see. Do you want to summit Everest?
I would love to.
Yeah, or maybe we can arrange some kind of like Himalaya TV special for that.
Yes, we should for sure. Nepal and United States shares a long and enduring people-to-people ties. From your perspectives, how do cultural and creative exchanges contribute to strengthening diplomatic relationship between United States and Nepal?
I think you create sincere people-to-people ties through shared experiences. Policy and statements are incredibly important. They create the framework for all of this, right? But by having real, lived, shared experiences, that makes the bilateral relationship so tangible. In my career as a diplomat, I've been in Bangladesh, Iraq, Pakistan, Qatar, Egypt, and Burma, and now here in Nepal. And there's just been so many stories across these countries about, for example, you meet somebody and they say, oh, when I was younger, I learned English at the American Center. I learned English at the American Space. Or I participated in this program and I met this American and we played football or soccer or basketball together. So just really these really simple, like pure moments with folks from another country really create the true understanding of what like bilateral relationships are. And so I think it's so important that we have these types of exchange programs that I mentioned earlier, right? Like IVLP and Fulbright to really help people see firsthand and experience, what American culture is, or what for an American to understand what Nepali culture is, for example. And so in this effort, the types of programs that we're doing now at the embassy are trying to make that even greater and more available to people around Nepal, outside of the orbit of Kathmandu, because there's so many great experiences here in Kathmandu, right? But I think people outside of Kathmandu are just as talented and ready to take on these opportunities. And how do we do that? Of course, the Creators Mela, what we're here for now, is such a great example for that, right? Because you have industry leaders from across Nepal and some international and regional leaders too in the content creation space, in the business and entrepreneurship, IT and tech space, coming straight to you, coming to your neighborhood and talking about the best practices to grow and scale your ideas. So again, it's creating these people-to-people moments between America and Nepal that help build this U.S.-Nepal friendship, which is, been strong for 78 years and growing.
Very interesting. Why do you think cultural exchange is so powerful in strengthening diplomacy?
I think because culture is really the essence of who we all are, right? Like our identity is so fundamentally shaped by culture. And I don't think there's any better example of that than Nepal. Nepal's culture is so rich and varied. I said I felt like I was in a movie when I was on top of Labuche. I honestly feel like I'm in a movie here every day in Nepal because it is so colorful and varied in all the life that is here, and especially during the festival season, right? Like Indra Jatra, Biscuit Jatra. Biscuit Jatra is the one where they pull the chariots, right?
Yes.
So I was in Bhaktapur for Biscuit Jatra, sitting in the square, seeing these massive chariots being pulled around with these massive wheels, the wheels probably taller than this backdrop, I was, and just with friends out there, sitting on top of a restaurant, looking down onto the square as all of this unfolded, and it's just such a wonderfully chaotic but beautiful scene at the same time. And so I actually went down there with some of my friends, and got a chance to pull on the rope and pull the chariots.
Did you try to pull
I
that?
pulled it, yeah.
Wow.
So actually, I was wearing these shoes. I was wearing these shoes here, and I was pulling so hard, my shoes came off and they like rolled away. So I was there actually like hanging onto the rope, like sticking my leg out, trying to get my foot back into the shoe before the chariot rolled away. But it's
So you carried good memories at the same time.
and I didn't lose my shoes. I lost it for a minute, but the chariot rolled away and I was able to put my shoe back on. Yeah.
During your time in Nepal, what elements of Nepali culture, creativity, or storytelling have resonated you the most?
I mentioned my trip to Mustang with Kishore Kayesta in October 2024. We actually had the chance to travel with him again in May last year in 2025 to Mustang to Lomantang, where we observed the Tiji festival. An ancient Buddhist festival held in Lomantang, where they wear traditional ceremonial costumes and play traditional ceremonial instruments. They dance they have these elaborate dances where they're creating mandalas shapes with their feet, which is really symbolic of which is so deeply symbolic. And it was just sitting on the ground as they danced in front of me. It was just incredible to see, and to know that like the embassy had a role in helping preserve this tradition, actually, because years ago, through U.S. government funding, we helped preserve these traditional ceremonial costumes and instruments as well. And so again, that was just such a surreal moment to me to sit front row and witness this centuries-old tradition in Upper Mustang. It was so incredible to see.
Sounds really incredible. I can feel the vibes.
Yeah, I mean it.
For how many days were you there?
So we were in Mustang probably for 6 days, 6 days up there. So in addition to TG Festival in Lomantang, there's the Chod Monastery, where we are helping preserve artifacts there as well, similar to the project that we have at the Lumbini Museum.
Looking ahead, what kind of cooperations, such as economic growth or cultural exchange, do you see the most promising for strengthening U.S. to Nepal relationship?
Well, we actually just signed the cultural property agreement between the United States and Nepal. Ambassador Thompson signed it mid-January with the Ministry of Cultural Affairs. And with this agreement, this will help stop the trafficking, illicit trafficking of Nepali antiquities between Nepal and the United States. I know that's such an incredibly important issue for Nepalis. And in fact, the art market, it's estimated to be $57 billion, and 40% of the art market is actually connected to the United States. So the fact that we have this landmark agreement after 4 years dedication and pursuit in fine-tuning this agreement, we finally have a solid agreement that will help protect Nepal's living history, because these are not just statues in a museum. These are living pieces of devotion that are in people's homes and around their towns and villages. So it's essential that we protect these pieces that are so important to everyday life here in Nepal. So that's the cultural property agreement. But in addition to that, I think looking ahead, what kind of work can we do? I think it's seeing what we can do more in the public-private partnership space. So how can the embassy work with the private sector to support shared initiatives? How do we work with like AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce in Nepal? How do we work with the Nepali private sector to help again create opportunities in Nepal? I keep saying creating opportunities. Really, that's the bottom line, and I'm seeing even more so with the Creators Mela and its evolution after 4 years. It's just become such a nice platform, not just for the embassy to connect with Nepalis, but it's also a good way just for the greater part of the Nepali community to come together, pool resources, and reach so many people with a shared interest of helping Nepalis and again creating opportunities.
That sounds a great initiation, actually.
Yeah.
So, which area of cooperation excites you the most?
So absolutely in the information technology and the tech sector and the AI sector,
Okay.
there's so much opportunity. Of course, AI is certainly a bit of a buzzword around the world right now, right? But there's just so many opportunity and so much innovation coming out of the United States in this space. And so how do we, share this opportunity with folks here in Nepal and, help them leverage that growth for something meaningful and profitable, frankly, here in Nepal. One really cool example of that is our Code for Impact hackathon, which we just launched a couple weeks ago in Butwal. This is in partnership with Adianta Advisory Group. And so what is it? It's a hackathon that trains young entrepreneurs how to use AI tools, American tools and tech to develop solutions to challenges here in Nepal, especially in the agriculture, tech, and job market spaces. And so over 48 hours, we have mentors who are on site to help these entrepreneurs develop their ideas and also their presentation skills. How do you actually pitch this and sell this idea to a prospective client? And just so grateful that people from AmCham Nepal and Nepalese private sector have been excited to be a part of this hackathon. That's just one immediate example of the work that we're doing in the AI and tech space here in Nepal.
We can see the Creators Mela been successful in every parts of the countries. It has been so much successful. So what motivated the US Embassy in Nepal to initiate and support a platform dedicated to digital creators?
Well, the Creators Mela started a few years ago in 2023, based here in Kathmandu. And the initial idea was just how do you help content creators, create better content, essentially? How do you make it more engaging? How do you identify what the trend is in the algorithm? For example, on whatever platform it might be, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter for that time, for example. But as it's grown and evolved, we've moved around a bit, right? Last April, we were in Itori and we were in Pokhara, and we saw a lot of talent, energy, and excitement around the Mela. But one of the big questions that came out of it was, it's great to create beautiful, catchy content, but what do I do with it? What's the next step with all this? And so that is really what led us this year, in 2006, to do Creators Mela from vision to venture. And so, what is vision to venture? It's simply how do you take the seed of an idea or just the inkling of a feeling and expand that? How do you make it grow and make it a successful, sustainable business, for example? So we really wanted to make this year's Mela fun, exciting, but also practical with real advice from industry leaders on how people can successfully grow their ideas and their businesses from their social media pages. So again, just real practical advice that we're hoping to bring with the Mela. And I think thus far the response has been overwhelmingly positive because a couple weeks ago we launched the Mela in Chitwan and there were more than 900 people there. And more than 2.5 million people read the coverage from the event. Yeah, so all organic metrics there. And then with Nepalganj, more than 1,000 people were at the event, and more than 8.5 million people read the coverage of that event. Sajid Rajvadia, perhaps Nepal's perhaps Nepal's most famous singer, closed the show out. People were standing on the chairs screaming for him as he was, giving a demo of how he builds his tracks. And it's just so those types of moments really encapsulated just the sincere energy of the Mela and the interest around the country for these types of programming. So I think, those anecdotes and just the metrics on this, they're the story. They tell that there is a real demand for this type of content and for these types of engagements. So, and really that is, providing opportunities and creating connections between creators and business leaders. And the fact that here in Kathmandu, more than 5,500 people have registered for Friday and Saturday is a clear sign that this is the type of engagement people really want to be a part of.
Why did the embassy feel that this is the right time to invest for Creators Mela in Nepal?
So actually, a little bit behind the scenes on this. Like these events just don't happen, right? Like perhaps we're doing promo for this like 2 to 3 weeks out, but this takes a lot of thinking and investment on the embassy side. So I'd have to say, like last year, right after the Creators Melas in Ituri and Pokhara in April, I talked to my team in DC, just talked about the great success that those events had, but really just pitched, the value of having these types of engagements across the country, and really just the reach that we get as an embassy, but also just the great outcomes that we're seeing, and that people are creating sustainable businesses. They're seeing growth and engagement with their accounts because of the types of opportunities and trainings that we're providing in these more modern and fun formats, frankly. And so because of that, we were able to receive resources and support from the State Department and scale this even larger, right? So our own internal vision to venture for the embassy was like, how do we make this an even bigger production and help reach more people and create more opportunities here in Nepal? And so I'm just so grateful to see this happening, and the fact that we have businesses here who see the value in it as well, and that they're partnering with us for it. It's just a nice validation on this model and how it's working.
As I mentioned that Creators Mela have already traveled from Chitwan to Nepalganj. Why was it important for these initiatives to reach cities beyond capital Kathmandu?
Well, it's clear that there is talent that exists outside of Kathmandu, but really it's just the access to these types of events, though, is just, it's difficult to provide it on a consistent basis, right? Just logistically, like how do you haul this entire screen and this stage over to Nepalganj, right? So there's just a lot of logistical challenges, but in all the travel that we've done through these events and through our other outreach engagements, like people have said, you've got to bring the Creators Mela to my town, to my city. Like we have so many great content creators here. Can you please bring it next year? And so, when we wrapped up in Chitwan a couple weeks ago, we were in Butwal for this Code for Impact hackathon. And so many people said, you got to come to Butwal next, right? So it's just, talking to folks and just seeing how there's so much like sincere energy and talent, and how they're ready to have this exposure to these types of discussions and industry leaders. It's just it's a good sign for us that we have to keep investing in these types of opportunities for Nepalis in the content creator space.
This year's theme emphasizes creating with purpose. In an era of fast-moving digital content, how important do you think is responsible and ethical storytelling?
It's so important, and it's so critical that the creators themselves have integrity in what they produce. And I follow a lot of social media accounts that do analysis of all the trends. Like the millennial trend, the Gen Z trend. And really what we're headed towards right now is the audience wants to see authenticity online. How is this person relatable? Can I trust that person? And when a creator is authentic, there's a real connection with that person, and they can create, and that's how they create and build their audience. And I think, and at last week's Mela in Nepalganj, Cabinet Shrestha, of course, one of the sharks, right, from Shark Tank, he's been on many of our panels. He's been great, and he gave great advice, and that as a brand, for him from Agni Group and with Mahindra, they're looking for real voices to be their brand ambassadors. And so his call to people was like, if you fit that category, right, reach out to him, reach out to Mahindra, reach out to Agni Group, and tell us about yourself, because we want to know who you are as a real person, as a creator, not just this like facade of an account, for example. And just connected to that, it's just such an important reminder that like all of us are so busy, right? The brands are so busy, the marketing communications execs are so busy. So it's really important for the influencers and the creators to be professional, to be organized, and have their pitch ready when they approach a company, right? So because time is finite, but if you have your pitch together and you can really make a compelling case about why you are an authentic, compelling, content creator who's worth being associated with that brand, that'll get Mahindra's attention or whatever company's attention. And that was really a lot of the advice that we heard in one of the sessions at the Mela, which was pitch to success. And one of the panel discussions really hit that home last week in Nepalganj. So it was a couple sharks, had its cabinet, it was Anand, and then it was Bashaka Katka Kunwar from Ncell on stage hearing pitches from prospective clients, essentially. And so again, they were just saying, be authentic, be real, but be prepared in how you present your product or your campaign concept to us.
And what impressed you the most about the content creators you have made during the Creators Mela?
I just respect what really impressed me the most, honestly, was just first the energy of the crowd, but also just the hustle. So do you know hustle? So hustle is just kind of like the drive and motivation that they have to really make the case for why they should be a business partner. And so just sitting in on those pitching sessions with Cabinet, Anand, and Bishaka, and also the later like the broader panel discussion that they led, just the enthusiasm and just how put together the audience members were and how they were there to make a deal, honestly. And maybe they were influenced by watching Shark Tank, and they just got inspiration by how you got 30 seconds, you got 60 seconds up there to make the pitch. But I was just really impressed by the caliber of the audience and how prepared they were to make a deal. I have to say that, for me, I got my start in Los Angeles at an advertising agency. It was TBWA Chiat Day, so a global ad agency. Best known for, at that time, for Apple. Apple was their big client. The client I was working with was Nissan Infiniti. So Infiniti is the luxury brand for Nissan. But during that time, that's really where I learned how to formulate a marketing strategy and make a pitch also, right? To explain, hey Nissan, hey Infiniti, this is the campaign concept. This is the audience we're going to reach. This is the metrics we're going to look out for. And I honestly had no idea what I was doing back then in my 20s in LA at that ad agency. But to be here now and to see people younger than me, confidently holding a mic and making these clear, succinct pitches to huge business leaders in Nepal were just so impressive. And it's just such a sign of the times that we're in and how the younger generations are just so prepared and on their A game, honestly, in the business space.
You seem to be involved in many things since a very young age, and it sounds very inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I grew up in California, in the Central Coast, and then I went to Los Angeles to UCLA for my undergraduate degree. And just living in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, just being in the entertainment industry was such in hindsight, just a great opportunity and ability to access so many different industries. So I got my start in marketing, like I said, at that ad agency. I later worked at a television news station it was kind of a mix between international reporting meets MTV News. So that's where I learned research and production and journalism and editing skills as well. And so I've been lucky in that I've been able to fold all of this marketing and business experience and television and journalism experience into this role that I have here in Nepal.
And what inspired you to come into diplomacy?
What really inspired me to become a diplomat was really just this fundamental sense of service to my country. And I say that because I'm actually adopted. So my birth mother was a refugee from Vietnam. And after the war, the story goes that she came over from Vietnam to the United States on a boat. Her boat was sinking and she was rescued by the American military and was brought to California, and there I was born in California, and then soon adopted into an American military family. And as fate would have it, my adopted father, my father, was a pilot in the Vietnam War also. So there's just this interesting overlap and synchronicity between my father's story and my birth mother's story. And so growing up in a military family, I always had this sense of duty and service, and like being a part of something bigger was always just kind of like a normal part of the narrative in the household, and just a sense of what we should be doing. Big family. There were there's how many of us are there? There's 7 brothers and sisters, so family of 8. 3 of us are adopted. I was the youngest in the family, and then 5 biological siblings. And so, huge family. All the boys ended up in the military, at least for some point in their life. You know, me being the youngest one, I think my parents were like, you know, do what you want to do. So that's why I went to LA, worked in media for a bit. But that sense of like there has to be a bigger purpose to what I'm doing came back to me, and so that's why that's what motivated me to, you know, take the risk and, you know, leave this, you know, for all intents and purposes, a really great job in television, and take a chance and go into the foreign service and you know, serve my country. And so it's been an adventure ever since. I've been a diplomat for about 15 years now, working around South Asia and the Middle East and Asia, and it's just been every day's been an adventure. And I'm just so grateful to be here in Nepal to really work in a place that I feel such a strong, you know, sincere connection to. And I think it's, you know, thankfully I feel like it's been reciprocated, and there's just been so many great opportunities that have arisen out of it. And I just have to credit also just the amazing team that I work with, all the amazing partners of the embassy, the fantastic leadership at the embassy. It's just really been a nice alignment of so many things here in Nepal.
That sounds very heartbreaking and inspiring at the same time.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Harker.
Thank you.
Many young Nepali creators aspire to turn creativity into a sustainable professions. How does Creators Mela help creators develop not just visibility but long-term career pathway?
So I think that's a great question, and that really gets to the core of from vision to venture. It's like you have this idea, you know, you create all this beautiful content, but how do you actually make it last and make it a business? And so a lot of these panel discussions just talk about, you know, it might sound a little bit, you know, not as exciting as a viral moment, but it talks about just the fundamentals of investing. Like, say you make some money off a piece of content, you know, you monetize your content, but what do you really do with that money? And the advice that we've gotten from the panelists in Chitwan and Nepalganj was, you've got to invest. You invest in yourself through education. You save that money. You maybe you put that money in a bit of land or in another business, and that's how you grow your wealth. And then you can use the savings from those investments and put those towards your content creation projects with a bit of success, and how to, you know, plant the seeds from that of success into other areas that you can tap into later.
What makes the Kathmandu edition of Creators Mela so special?
So the grand finale of the Creators Mela in Kathmandu will be incredible. It's not just one day, it's 2 days. It's packed full of workshops, panel discussions, and performances. And, you know, we have performances by huge acts like Sajan Rajvadia, Kabita Nepali, Ujan Shakya, and Ayush Shrestha, for example, will be performing on the stage for, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of people. In addition to these huge performances by major acts, we also have, like I said, Pitched for Success with Cabinet Shrestha, Anand, and Vishaka, as well as so many other panel discussions by huge influencers who have multi-million followers across all platforms. This is really the largest stage and gathering in Nepal for content creators and business leaders. There is nothing like it. And the fact that, you know, the embassy and our sponsors are offering this, are providing this for free to Nepalis. All you have to do is register. This is just such an incredible opportunity for content creators in Nepal to come together, learn and grow, and really build their network. I mentioned sponsors, and I just have to say thank you to them. It's Agni Group, Monoram Group, Encel, Nepal Distilleries, Siddhartha Bank, Veal, Visa, and Extreme Energy Drink. And so really, by all of us pooling our resources together, we're really able to come and reach, you know, young, talented content creators and create opportunities for them. And it's really for the betterment of them, their communities, and for Nepal, frankly.
Seems to have lots of opportunities for many youth content creators of the country.
Absolutely, and I'd have to say, even if the other 2 cities we're in, it wasn't just Nepalis. People from outside of Nepal actually came. I remember one guy from South India raised his hand in the audience, said he came all the way from South India to be a part of this Mela. And this, was not expecting that, but just that goes to show you how there is such immense reach and interest in this event.
In today's crowded digital landscape, what skill, values, or mindset do you believe creators need to truly stand out and create meaningful impact?
In today's landscape, there is so much noise, there are so many different voices and varied opinions on everything, right? And so I think really to stand out, you need authenticity, you need professionalism, and you really need just a solid identity as a creator. That's how you're going to stand out in this field right now.
From your interaction in Chitwan and Nepalganj, what has particularly surprised you or inspired you about the creators that you have made?
What really has stood out to me in this iteration of the Mela, especially in Chitwan and Nepalganj, is just the dynamism and the energy of the audience. People really came there to learn and, like I said, to hustle, to really pitch and make a deal with a lot of the panelists on stage. They came there to be entertained, of course, a lot of great performances throughout the day, but just really valuable information being shared by the panelists, and people really took that to heart. And they were not shy to go approach the panelists and really make a compelling case about why their content is engaging and appealing in their particular market.
Okay, so I think we can expect lots from them.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been so much content produced by them following the Mela. It just hasn't been a one-off thing. They're continuing to post content and tag the embassy and the Creators Mela page from Chitwan and Nepalganj.
Finally, what message would you like to give to the young Nepali creators who want to use their voices to drive positive changes both locally and on the global stage?
Really, I think it takes effort. I think, anything good, anything worthwhile comes with effort. It comes with concentration and dedicated focus towards that goal. With a goal, you have to accept the fact that there will be challenges. People will not understand your vision. People will question it. People will doubt it and dismiss it. But you have to be firm and steadfast in what that vision is and make the compelling case of why it matters and how it's going to make a difference. And don't be rude about it. You have to build friendships and partnerships along the way as you work towards that goal. You have to build support in your community, and in this case, in the greater content creator space and with the business community, to get your vision into a full-fledged venture. It's going to take time. It'll take work, but anything good takes work.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing insight with you. And we wish you all the best for the good work during your tenure here in Nepal. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Rebecca. Great to be with you.
Info Plus for genuine information.
Mr. HARKER, thank you for your time and insights. This is Rebecca Chetri bringing you conversation that connect people and ideas. Thank you for watching Himalayan Television. Namaste.
Info Plus for genuine information.